guys know that almost 35% of the entire Jewish population was murdered during the years of 1933 to 1945? This mass murder was otherwise known as the Holocaust, where Adolf Hitler was responsible for taking the lives of almost 6 million Jews. Today, I'm going to talk to you guys about the young hero Anne Frank and how she became the face of the Holocaust. And that's a picture of her right there. First, I'm going to talk about who she was as a person, describe her journal, and talk about how it helped her become a national symbol. It's important to understand the impact she had on the Holocaust. Taken by Blackbird Press, not only does Anne Frank stand for the Jews, but for any human being who suffered because of his beliefs, his color, or his race. In order to fully explicate Anne Frank's life, I've done extensive research and double-checked any facts that are stated in the speech. According to History.com, Anne Frank was born on June 12, 1929, in the German city of Frankfurt. She had 11 parents and an older sister by the name of Margot. Both her parents moved to New Amsterdam in 1933 so that they could establish a successful business. After Anne stayed behind in Germany, she decided to move along with her grandmother to be with her parents the following year. Then she started school in Amsterdam. Anne was described as a joyful spirit, a popular girl, but she also had a serious side, and this was depicted in her writings. During the time she was getting settled in school, the threat of war in Europe was increasing, so her family tried to immigrate to the USA, but they couldn't. Eventually, Germany invaded Poland, and this marked the Second World War. After the invasion, her and her family went into hiding, like many other Jewish families. To pass the time, Anne focused on studying and reading literature, and also writing in her journal. Shortly before going into hiding, Anne received a red checkered diary for her 13th birthday. In this diary, she would write about the events of the Holocaust and also about herself and her family. Her first journal was addressed to her imaginary friend Kitty. It read, "I hope I will be able to confide in you, as I have never been able to confide in anyone, and I hope it will be a great source of comfort and support." So that's supposed to be the first entry, and that's kind of like a picture of her. She chooses to think of her diary as her friend because she understands that she's not able to have these relationships because she's in hiding. She doesn't really have anybody to confide in, and she talks to her sister, but it kind of gets monotonous talking about the war and the position that she's in. So instead of, to replace this, she confides in her diaries. Most of her entries describe the depth and despair caused by the war, but it also just contains everyday life for her and her family. She also wrote short stories and collected quotations in her diary. Later, she decided to edit it and create a novel called The Secret Annex. But by that time, her and her family were already arrested and taken to the concentration camps. But eventually, her father found her diary and read about Anne's plan to write a book. Although he was hesitant at first, he eventually decided to send out her writings to several historians. This caused an article to be written about her in a journal. And then when people saw this journal, publishers started recognizing and said, this seems like an interesting story. And then from that on, her diary was published into a book. Her diary helped the world understand that 6 million Jews killed in the Holocaust had faces, lives, and personalities. According to diplomatic history, her personal record of her struggle to keep hope alive through the darkest days of the century has touched the hearts of millions. Without her help, the world would never know the intensity of the pain caused during this time. As stated in the Interdisciplinary Journal of Jewish Social Studies, it's important to know this so nothing like this can ever happen again. So, I hope I've clearly demonstrated how Anne Frank indirectly influenced the Holocaust. To conclude, I've informed you about her life by talking about who she was as a person, describing her journal, and talking about how it helped her become a national symbol. I hope this speech helped you to understand the importance of Anne Frank as being the face of the Holocaust.